All right, letting me know that I'm live. I am going to double check a couple things because I just want to make sure that my live can be heard okay. So let me just check real quick. Sorry, you might hear some feedback for a second. I just want to make sure that. Okay, perfect. All right, it's all good. Going to double check a couple things because I just want to make sure that. Okay, perfect. All right, it's all good. Check a couple things because I just want to make sure that. Okay, perfect. All right, it's all good. Thanks everybody for your patience while I set up this live and get into it. Thanks everybody for your patience. All right, one more thing I want to do. Let me get my live started here on my TikTok as well. All right, so here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. All right, we in this thing. So what's going on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok? To the people that will be watching live and later, what's up? I really appreciate everyone's support. I relaunched my social media, I would say a little over a year ago, and the support this time around has been incredible. And you guys helped me to get monetized really quickly. And this has been it's been a twofer. It's been so cathartic for me, and it's been great for me. And it's also been so powerful to be able to stand in my truth and get so much feedback from so many women that are like, man, I hate that I know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm so grateful to hear you speak on it. And uh, it's impactful all around, and it the work that I'm doing, uh, the work that you do on yourself. Of course, when you heal yourself, I feel like you really do help to heal a nation. It's starting from the inside out, you, your children, everything. So I've been in this period of my life right now where it seems like I've been being forced to look at so many truths that for a lifetime I dismissed it, or maybe I just had to survive. But being out of survival mode for I would say this is the longest streak where I've been in more peace and out more so out of survival mode. I feel like my body and my spirit is like, okay, it's time. You're ready. You can actually really start to look at the truth, deal with the truth, and move accordingly. So remember the beginning of this year when it was like Cat Williams was like, "This is a year of truth." Man, that has been the theme for so many of us that are spiritually tuned in, tapped on, turned all of that. This has been the year of, if you're a part of my vibe tribe, this has been our year of truth. And the truth has been hitting me so much to where I spend a lot of time just chilling, like having to just relax myself and just go through this, the waves of just everything. So another wave kind of just hit me again this morning, something that happened, and I'm going to share the story with you. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for a lot of you to hear this, just as hard as it probably was for me to ever really deal with it, which is why now, so many years later, I can actually look at it for what it is, talk about it, and move and help other people move accordingly too, because I have been moving accordingly for a couple of years now. So I'm able to speak about these things from a place of power, not like pity or just a place of pain and I need you to feel sorry. That's not what this is about. Um, like the title says, my grandmother actually sided one time to my face with one of my worst abusers in life, and we're gonna dig into that. Um, so I did kind of take a little notes that way. I'm not like a squirrel and kind of all over the place. And so I appreciate your patience. I'm gonna try to keep up with the comments too. I like reading your comments and answering questions. So let's get into the story. First of all, so 2017 was a year, that is the year of my rebirth physically, because that is the year that there was one of the worst incidents I've ever experienced. Um, I had a lot of trauma in my life in lots of ways. This physical trauma, I believe, forced me to have to be reborn, and I'm so grateful and lucky to be alive. An ex-boyfriend of mine, he is a very popular DJ in the Midwest or South, I don't know, Midwest, Southwest, whatever. He goes by the name DJ D Chappelle. I don't know if he's still on the radio or not now, because when I'm done, I'm done. So I know nothing about him and don't want to. But at that period of time, and for I would say a couple decades prior to 2017, he was that guy in that area. So for whatever that means in Oklahoma, he was that guy. So black radio station that I think spanned across maybe Dallas through Oklahoma to I think maybe Kansas, where I think he was from. And so he was very popular and definitely a celebrity in that area. Um, we were dating for quite some time, and in the beginning of the relationship, we went to the same college and everything, and it seemed like, wow, he's a great guy. But that's the thing about narcs. And I'll tell you, this whole thing is not about him whatsoever. However, I am going to say the truth and say his name as well, because he tried to sue me a couple times for saying the truth. And this is something that narcissists do. Um, he put his hands on me. Uh, this was not the first, it wasn't the last, but it was the worst experience of it, where I started to recognize, hey, this relationship is toxic. I started to try to practice some personal agency, which is something that I didn't do a whole lot of then, but I think I just started to really do that, and I broke up with him. What I didn't know is that while I was breaking up with him on the phone, he was driving to my home. So didn't even have a chance yet to like change locks, any of that stuff, and he used the garage code, came into my home, and he beat me. And to this day, there is still a period of time that's completely unaccounted for, and that's how bad he physically damaged me. Um, I remember waking up in another room, not knowing how long I was unconscious, not knowing, um, just waking up and hearing him screaming, and I'll never forget the sound of his screaming. It was so guttural, and it sounded so primal. And also, there was a vibration in that sound. I knew exactly, because I knew him inside and out. I knew exactly why he was screaming. And when I was able to look up a little bit, I remember seeing him in my kitchen. I'm in my living room. I remember seeing him in my kitchen, and he was cowering as if he was afraid of my body. Whatever he did to me, he was certain in that moment that he had unalived me. He was certain that he had unalived me. And the screaming and the crying was not for me, it was for himself. And a lot of you will never understand these sounds and these vibrations. And that is an amazing thing. I wish for no one to ever be able to understand what I and a lot of women that have survived what I survived know what I'm talking about here. When you look at someone and you know that they are not repentant for what they did, they are only upset that now they're about to face some real big consequences. And that's in that moment, he was all about himself and did not care about me. When I started to move, he was relieved. And I remember turning my head to the side and just seeing so much blood around my head. Um, I'm trying not to spend too much time on this, but I want you all to understand what I experienced and why what my grandmother said later on was so diabolical. He discouraged me from going to the hospital. He refused to take me to the hospital initially, and I'm going to leave it there. I'm glad that I survived, although I did unfortunately take him back one more time before I finally decided, oh my God, I'm not going to survive this man. I have to leave him, and I have to leave everything, every part of what my life is today. I have to leave it. I have to leave it, or I'm not going to survive it. This life and all of these people and everything that is enabling people like him and other monsters in my life, it's going to be the end of me. I have to break out of this. I don't know how, but I have to. So I started to make that decision shortly after to break out of it. And I did it. My resistance was in little subtle ways at first, because it's a process. If you are not a person who was raised to have your own voice, to be self-empowered, it is a process. And I say this because so many, there's so many women, and there's still way too many. I'm talking to my sisters. There's way too many Black women who will come on these posts and say, "Well, it couldn't have been me," and "What's wrong with you?" and "Why did you do this?" and "Why did you that?" Well, if you really wouldn't know, you wouldn't say these things. These are the type of things that keep women like the woman or the girl that I used to be bound. None of that stuff helps. They're already going through shame and everything else and their own self persecution. And when you girls and women come out and say these nasty things, putting them down for this position that they're in, it keeps so many of them bound. It for damn sure kept me bound longer than it should have. That doesn't help. That does not help. So tell a friend, okay? Phone a friend. Tell a girlfriend. Stop that shit. So I started to resist and all the different ways that I could muster up the courage to resist in so many different ways in life, speaking up for myself a little bit more here and there. So let's get to the thing with my grandmother. By this, I would say maybe it was a year later because I left. Let's see, this happened in 2017 and I left in 2019. So this had to have happened in sometime in 2018. I was going out with my grandmother and my mom, and we were doing every once in a blue moon. My mother would actually break away from the toxicity that she was living with and actually show up for me and my grandmother. And we decided to do like a little ladies' lunch and hang out. And unfortunately, a lot of times when we got together with my grandmother, and I didn't recognize it until I would say a couple years later, it would almost always end up culminating in some sort of a blow up. Like we could never, like family gatherings, even small ones, could never just be peaceful. It would always end in some sort of verbal, emotional damage for me. And this time was no less. And I started to have to tell myself I got to limit my time and space with them as well because every time I get with my family of origin, for whatever reason, some bullshit would happen. So we're with my grandmother at the mall. She's doing what she does a lot, and a lot of people find it entertaining and funny, and I used to. Because your grandmothers that have no chill, like Medea, it's funny to watch on TV, but in real life, that shit can be a traumatic train wreck, especially if it's a lifetime of that. Okay, and this wasn't TV; this was real life. So we're at the mall, and we're walking around, doing a little shopping, whatever, getting ready to go to lunch, and I've got my babies with me. So let's see if this is 2018, then hold on, no, this is 2018. Yep. Then I think I had all of my babies with me then. Just trying to remember things and put things together. So I got the double stroller happening, and we're hanging out. And my grandmother would have a habit of minding people's business out loud. And this ain't TV, so it's real life. So the other people, funny. When you're in the middle of it, not funny. So some young couple had a little boy who was having a tantrum, and I think they popped him on the butt. Say what you will or won't. I'm not going to talk about the position of a spanking as right, wrong, or indifferent. But the point is, whatever happened in our presence was not something that needed to be like that needed intervention. And if it did, it shouldn't have been this particular way. I don't believe it needed intervention at all. They were chastising the boy. They popped him on the butt. He straightened up. And my grandmother's from North Jersey, so she's, would you look at this? Just real loud and everything, and come on, get it, all that stuff. So she's loud with it, and she would do this on a regular basis. And my grandmother, she's almost 90 years old, bless her heart, and she comes from that school of thought. And I don't know if this is a black only thing or not. I don't know. So if you're a person, if you're a non-melanated person that is not racist, then I'll allow you to speak on it. Tell me, do your people do this too? Because I don't really know. But I know that in a lot of the black communities I was in, there was this idea that if you were older, then that means you were right. The older you were, the more right you are. And that if you're older, you have this all access pass to do and say whatever the hell you want. And because you're an elder, we're supposed to defer to you and just listen. And she was still of that school of thought, although the world has definitely moved beyond that a lot. And so she would say things out loud to try to publicly shame others. And a lot of people, for the most part, would just kind of deal with it or put up with it. And oftentimes, the things that she said was right, but then the way she would say it, not okay. Um, sometimes she just at the end of the day, you just need to mind your you just need to mind your damn business. Like we're not in a community. This is not your community. We're in the mall. These are complete strangers. So she inserted herself into these people's business. And I remember the mother having this look. I can't explain it, but I know posturing because I was raised around there's just certain things that I just recognize. And I could tell that the mother, like if she could have gotten away with it, she just had this look and this body language that said, "Lady, if you don't shut the hell up and move around, I'm gonna smack the shit out of you." So now I'm seeing this woman posture. So me and my mother now are having to take a posture of protection, even though my grandmother is dead ass wrong. She should have minded her damn business and kept her mouth shut. So now I am, without saying anything, moving my stroller over to my mom, like, hey, like without there's this coordinated effort of if something goes down, you take my baby somewhere else. I'm gonna handle this, and I don't know, call the church to deal with the bail money or something. So without even thinking, there's this conversation happening with all of our bodies now. I'm putting my body between my grandmother and her big ass mouth and this couple and the woman who is clearly looking like she want problems with my grandmother. And my grandmother's wrong, but I can't let my grandmother get her ass whooped. So now I'm staring this woman down and kind of giving her this look like, listen, girl, you don't want no problems. And she's looking back at me like she agreed. Thank God. So this may have happened within in less than 2 minutes, but of course in the moment it felt like it took like 30 minutes. And I've got so much anxiety now because I'm upset. This isn't my problem. I shouldn't have to clean up this mess. This is completely not fair. I'm not really a fighter, but I have fought before, but I don't want to. I'm scared. What if I get my behind beat? Just all these things are happening. What if I go to jail? All this stuff is happening. So when it all, kind of calms down and the couple going about their business and I'm just breathing a sigh of relief, like, thank you, God, thank you, God. Because y'all, like most of my life, I've been like a buck 20. Now I have been a scrapper because I didn't have a choice, but it's not because I ever wanted to, it's because I didn't have a choice. So we go down a couple of stores and my mother's chastising my grandmother and I am really upset. So I probably laid into her. I don't remember what I said, but I probably did lay into her and I probably did cuss her out. Um, I just remember the main message of what I said to her was, you need to learn, and I've been saying this for a while, you need to learn how to mind your business and leave people alone. This is not 1995 where just because you're an older lady, people are going to let you do and say what you want. And I remember saying to her explicitly, you almost had me go to jail. So I'm saying to her again, like, I'm tired of you putting us in this position. Like, you need to chill. And whatever I'm saying, I know it's right. Now, it probably was really huffy. Probably. I don't remember all the details, but I do remember this. I remember the look on her face as I was speaking. I will never forget it because it was nothing but a look of indignation, and who the hell do you think you are? And I'd already had a lifetime of getting that look from elders in my family, even when everybody in the room knew what I was saying was right, including in that moment. And when she took her time with this, so she made a choice in her response because she did not immediately respond. She sat there with that look of indignation for a moment. And then she said to me, no wonder DeAndre knocked you in the mouth and had you on the floor all in your blood. I think that in that moment and for years, I had to just file it away and not deal with it because I could not accept that my grandmother, my own grandmother, who has been the biggest hero of my life and who I used to call my mom because my mom had got married and had me so young. We didn't have a traditional mother-daughter relationship. I looked to my grandmother like she was my mother. And I could not accept until recently the facts of what she said to me and that was a choice to say that. Who you are and what you do and what you say in your worst moments People like to say that lie that I am not defined by my mistakes, but you are defined by everything. And you are definitely defined by those moments as well. You are telling me and you are telling the world who you are in those moments. And those type of words to be said, there's only one type of person who could say something like that, who could take your trauma and use it against you in order to protect and defend themselves. And that person is a narcissistic abuser. And I remember, like, literally me having to just tuck those words away because I could not emotionally or physically or spiritually or whatever psychologically process and deal with that at the time. I just could not. And that's also a trauma response. If it's too much for your brain to fathom, think about if you just heard that someone that's really close to you died. You have that period where you're in complete denial. That is a trauma response. That is your brain and your psychological system protecting you from something that is way too heavy to deal with because in that moment it might crush you. That is how uh, I guess on a primal level, immediately had to process and deal with that. So as I started to go through more therapy and learning how to really get my toxic family system out of me and how to just become my best self, become a healthier person for me, become a healthier mother for my children, and go on that journey, more and more I started to learn about what there's a reason why all these words are buzzwords and popular words now. It's not just because it's a trend or it's a fad. It's because so many of us finally have the proper vocabulary for a lot of our life experiences. So the words gaslighting, the words narcissist, the words emotional manipulation, smoke screen, flying monkeys. These are not just fun buzzwords. These are lived experiences that so many of us did not have any names or words or vocabulary for. It's like she was waiting to say that, Marsha promised. Hi, Marsha. Unfortunately, she probably was because I started to go back and look and see how um, she would say other things that were just so downright just nasty about her own relatives that I dismissed because it was normal. Here's the thing about people who are narcissistic that I had to learn, and to be honest, I still have a hard time accepting even if they're at the end of their life, and this is so important for you to understand this, and you will free yourself so much faster than I've been able to free myself when you can bring yourself to accept this fact. Narcissistic people would rather protect their own delusions than ever accept the absolute truth. A narcissistic person will always choose themselves and the lies that they tell themselves over the very real experiences and the real truth that you will say to them. They are never wrong. They will never be wrong in their own mind. No matter what they've done to you or said to you, they in their mind always have a real valid reason for it. It was your fault. You made them do it. You made them say it, or they said this because they really believe that they said this or they did this to help you some kind of way. They did it for your good. They hurt you for your own good. It's a sickness, and I am not a psychologist, so uh I'm not a person who deeply understands the study of it. I've had to become proficient in this because I needed to learn enough about this in order to be able to reclaim my life, to heal my past. One of my favorite professionals when it comes to this, I can't think of his name right now. I'll find it later or maybe put it in the notes. He has this saying that's one of my favorite sayings: it's never too late to have a happy childhood. In order for me at the age of 42, or am I 43 now, to have a happy childhood finally, I had to learn about this stuff so that I can get my narcissistic, toxic family system out of me. Not to heal my inner child, to heal my right now woman, to also heal my children, to heal and be able to repent or make penance and apologize and face some of the damage that I caused my oldest two children when I was in that toxic family system, and that's all that I learned, so it's all I knew, to be able to completely recreate who I am and who my household is and what our present is now, and what our future will be. I had to at least get proficient in this. And doing this, once again, when you heal yourself, you really do help to heal a nation and a generation. Because I have younger children, I have younger people in my family that when they're ready to have these conversations, I get to have with them. I have some that unfortunately are experiencing some of the things I did as a kid and as a young adult, and they don't have a way out. So I can hold the key. And when it's time and when I'm permitted to, I'm able to help them navigate and get through what I got through and be able to go through it so much further because I already did, because I already cleared that path. I have some adults in my family that I hope one day I can have a conversation with and I can help them heal as well. But in the meantime, at the end of the day, my first priority is me and mine. And using this platform for those of you that are ready to have these conversations to share it with you as well. When my grandmother decided to say something as diabolical as she did, and to say, "No wonder DeAndre knocked you in the mouth and had you on the floor in your blood," she was saying to me that she took what I was saying to her. Thank you so much. Thank you for commenting. Marsha, I think I know who you are. I think. Okay, no, no, no. Okay, I thought you were somebody that I know that's connected to a family in California, but I can't. I don't know. The picture doesn't look like you. But either way it goes, Marcia. Thank you so much. I appreciate you joining the conversation, and um, I'm glad that it resonates with you as well. Uh, the way that she chose to respond, those were fighting words, and that tells me something that I had to learn about narcissistic people as well. That when you tell them about themselves, and it doesn't matter how polite or how kind or how non-confrontational you try to be, you can use the sandwich method and tell them all the wonderful things about themselves first and then put the dark stuff in the middle. You can tell them, not, I want you to do better because I want to have a better relationship with you. It doesn't matter. It's no use in telling the truth to a narcissist and trying to confront them with anything that they've ever said or done to hurt you, because they don't care. If you've ever wondered if you are a narcissist because you struggle with and I did because I was raised by a narcissist. I was raised by a couple. Um uh I remember asking therapists and even asking myself sometimes, could I be a narcissist? The very fact that you ask yourself if you could be, that tells you that you're not. The very fact that you ever look back and reflect on something, one of your really worst moments, you just went all the way off on somebody. It could have been somebody who just totally deserved it, but you feel this embarrassment, this shame. You feel empathy for the other person, even if that person is an enemy. But maybe you want to understand what made them get that way, and you want, at the end of the day, you want better. You want healing. You want, that lets you know right there that you are not a narcissist. So I hope that helps a few of you. It definitely helped me. As a matter of fact, my last therapist had me cracking up because I was asking her again. Maybe I could be, because sometimes I look back and I would think about some things that a narcissist had said to me, and I agreed with them, or it made some sense, and I'm like, so could that have made me a narcissist too? And she's like, the fact that you're even asking that question, the answer is no. A narcissist is incapable. They are completely incapable, and they refuse to see themselves. So if you confront a narcissist and you tell them how much they've hurt you, you tell them how something that they did impacted you, all that they hear as that you're trying to shame them. That let's say that you just said, I don't know, let's say that you said that you accidentally bumped